Thank you for tuning in to Mac Review Television, and welcome to another brand new edition of the Taiwan Outlook, the program that lets you see the different faces and hear the different voices of Taiwan. I'm your host, Rui Guo. As one of the largest international charitable organizations in the world, we are delighted to have on today's program the Deputy Secretary General, Mr. Wen-Liang of United Way of Taiwan, to talk about the operations and functions of this very important social relief organization in Taiwan. Welcome to the program, Wen-Liang.
Hello, everyone. Glad to be here.
Yes. Well, Wen-Liang, let's start off by with a very generic question. What is United Way, and what kind of functions does United Way serve in the international charitable activities?
Okay. United Way is actually a name of a very long history organization.
Yes.
It comes from United Solutions, which its mission is mobilizing community resources to create a long-term and positive changes for people in need.
Okay.
So that's basically the core mission of the United Way organization, and it's been in. It started in the United States back in 1880s. And then it started with a charity organization society and then create a long history of helping people knowledge and skills.
Okay. And how long has United Way been in Taiwan? What is the state of development of United Way of Taiwan today?
The United Way of Taiwan has been established for almost 20 years. Next year will be our 20th anniversary. It started with a group of professionals, lawyers, accountants, social workers, and professors who would like to create a trustworthy organization, especially after Taiwan was released from martial law and all kinds of social forces starting to help the community for more needs. So this organization was established for people to trust. Therefore, we advocate for a more transparent nonprofit organization to help the community, and that's when and why the United Way of Taiwan established.
So when it was established back in 1992, I suppose.
Yes.
And what was the the core value that the United Way of Taiwan wanted to convey to the people on the island?
At that time, as I mentioned, people want to trust some nonprofit organization and to make sure that where their money goes, and people could make sure that this money really create and make a difference for people in the community, and especially for people who are suffered. And there were also some news events happened at that time when a tragedy happened and were covered by the news coverage and all on the newspaper and television and TV news, and people start to worry that maybe some social resources would be abused by concentrating on certain specific clients or people who are in help, and then it's not distributed to those really in need. So they want to have this kind of professional organization really tell people how and why and where does those money goes.
Okay. How big is the organization today in Taiwan? How many people do you have on the staff?
We have 26 staff members, full-time staff, and also over 200 volunteers in different professional backgrounds to help us raising funds, allocate those resources, and review where the money goes.
Okay. You said the key word. What is the total amount of funds that you're able to raise for United Way of Taiwan in a year?
In average, we raise around 400 million Taiwan dollar in the recent 5 years.
Good.
And I think it's good enough for our organization at this point, and then we expect that we can make more.
We can
growth.
Continue. Yes. And how do you distribute the funds that you raise?
It's a process of application and allocation. Each year we travel around the island for different 4 regions. In the north, in central Taiwan, and down south and east. And then we have a seminar to invite all the social service organization to come, and then we will explain what is the focus of this year. Then they will submit proposal, and then we send out around 160 volunteers to make site visit, to make sure that they have the ability to implement those programs. And also they are trustworthy, transparent enough, and also the community needs. So with those review, then we will allocate the money according to how much we raised in that year.
All right.
And then they need to submit the midterm report and final report, so that we will make sure and then give those reports feedback to the donors. So it's kind of a long process, but it makes sure that people knows where their money goes.
Yeah, but you make the decision at the end of the year, and it starts at the beginning of the year. And how many social relief organizations do you normally cover in a year?
Like this year, we have 429 organizations get funded by the United Way, and it's about over 400 projects in local communities.
So each of the project may get roughly about $1 million, more or less?
No, less.
Because you said you raise about 400 million a year.
It varies. Some programs, they have a larger scale, and they serve more people, so it could be like 2 million Taiwan dollar. But in average, it's about 400,000 Taiwan dollar to make sure that a small scale and community-based programs could maintain and provide services for like children's after-school program, and also for them to visit home alone elderlies.
But as you know, Wen-Liang, that over the years, Taiwan's economy has done very well, and our per capita income has gone up, maybe not as fast as some people would like, but certainly overall, compared with other neighboring countries, we're not doing too bad. And the fact is that since our economy took off, a lot of people have raised their awareness of giving back to the society, maybe through United Way agency or through other charitable organizations in Taiwan. How would you then look at the annual, charitable, activities in Taiwan, and what kind of role does United Way play in the process? And for example, you are probably one of the better known organizations in Taiwan. Do you think that the United Way gets more because of your name recognition and your trustworthiness? And how does that compare with other charitable organizations who may want to compete for that pie out there?
It's a very good question in this regard. As Taiwan's economy grows and people want to give and want to help and to make a difference for the society.
Of course.
And the United Way in Taiwan is actually one of the top 10, but we are not the top 5 yet.
No.
The most famous, I think, as you may know, is Tzu Chi Foundation, which is a Buddhist background foundation where people love to volunteer and love to give, and they see and they know and they see how the money is spent and the differences they make. So I think it started to become a part of the life in Taiwanese society because it's like, and also it creates a lot of opportunity for you to volunteer. So I think that's more than just giving, and it's over the concept of charities. Like basically people would see charity as a more religious sense, but philanthropy becomes more popular now, either for the companies, especially multinational companies. When they come to Taiwan, they also bring their corporate social responsibility and those skills and knowledges to Taiwan. So that make a lot of difference in Taiwanese society in recent 10 years. And I think that's part of the reason as I observe, a lot of Taiwanese people love to give. And according to the statistics, in about 10 years ago, only 49% of Taiwanese people give annually. And then we have a survey last year and we found that over 80% of Taiwanese people gave last year.
Okay.
So that creates a lot of difference.
All right.
And I think it's not just economy growth, but also the community as a whole starting to care for each other.
Okay.
And over the year, then we also have a trustworthy civil society where people trust that there are certain organizations is doing a good job, and we want to give, and we want to make a difference.
Okay. For the final question of this part of the program, Wen-Liang, how do you then convince people who may be donors that give the money to United Way instead of to the people or the families or the organization directly?
Yeah, it varies over the process of our past 20 years.
Okay.
In the beginning, we say this is an organization where you know where your money goes.
Okay.
And then in between, we're starting to educate or to inform people that we would make sure that each dollar is well spent.
Okay.
And now we want to invite people to invest, that what's going to be different with your money and your investment for the society, and what kind of difference you can find through the process of our service. Okay. So that, I think that also come with the progress of our society.
Okay, and also the fact that I think you do have a reputation, and you have a name recognition that people can trust.
Yeah.
And so in the future, it is important for United Way of Taiwan to continue build on that image,
yes,
and earn more trust. Of course, that will help you in terms of fundraising and doing other activities.
Yeah.
Certainly want to thank Wen-Liang for giving us that background information regarding the United Way of Taiwan. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to continue this conversation with Mr. Chen Wen-Liang, who is currently the Deputy Secretary General of United Way of Taiwan, to discuss some of the other functions and events the United Way does in Taiwan on a yearly basis. I'll see you in a few minutes. Welcome back to the second part of today's program here on the Taiwan Outlook. I'm your host, Wu Rui Guo. We will continue this very interesting conversation with Mr. Chen Wen-Liang, who is currently the Deputy Secretary General of United Way of Taiwan. Wen-Liang, I'm going to ask you that you said at the earlier part of the program that every year you will have a theme for the United Way of Taiwan. And what is the theme for this year, 2011?
Okay. This year we have three focus.
Okay.
The first one is for after-school program for children and youth.
All right.
And this one is especially for parents who have to work long hours, and they have this program to make sure that their children is taken care of, and they don't need to spend extra money for those kids. Make sure that they are safe, and they make sure their homework is done and with a care. And the second one is active aging. This is one of the major issues among, especially in East Asia countries, where aging is an emerging issue. And we want to make sure that there are enough community resources for elderlies who want to have a more active participation to the community. So these are the second focus of our themes in this year. And the third one is independent living for people with disabilities. Okay. And this one's especially incorporated with the 7-Eleven in Taiwan, their spare change campaign in their convenience store. Okay. And they help.
All right. And you talk about the cooperation that you have with 7-Eleven.
Yes.
That certainly helps in terms of small amount of donation that people can give. But what is generally, in your years of working with United Way, what is the typical profile of a donor for the United Way of Taiwan?
It's very interesting. Most of our donors are basically located in northern Taiwan, white collar, female, between age 25 to 45. Okay. It's kind of very unique and what we call the middle class females.
Okay, all right.
And they mostly live in metropolitan areas.
Okay, and do you have some corporate, donors? For example, you mentioned maybe some multinationals coming to Taiwan. They also stress the importance of corporate social responsibility. Has that become more commonplace among the local industries as well?
Yes, it starts with multinationals, and then local Taiwanese-based multinationals also have very active participation.
Okay.
And like those multinationals, Johnson & Johnson Taiwan, they actually not giving money, but they give their talents. The company, the general manager, Angela Chang, she lead a team to build a platform, mobilizing the giving goods, the products of the companies and the other companies to help orphanage and nursing homes so that they could save money through those goods. So that's part of the very creative ideas.
Yes, indeed.
Citibank Taiwan, 7-Eleven, they are all very actively participating in these kind of fundraising, and they give their know-hows and skills, professional ideas.
Okay, and we of course talk about 7-Eleven as one of the success stories in Taiwan, and it will give you another channel for people to make donations to United Way.
Yes.
Have you thought about other possible cooperation partners? Not only in the retail sector, but maybe with the media or with other organizations, civic organizations that you can identify.
Yeah, I think a lot of Taiwanese-based companies, they are actually not just expanding their company or investment in other countries. And we are also love to see more Taiwanese-based multinationals who could participate. They're actually already done it. Basically, the most basic corporate social responsibility is create jobs.
Of course.
And then we're starting to see a lot of companies, they create jobs for people with disabilities. And these people were trained by a lot of them, funded by government budget. Also, the United Way helped them to build up those programs. So I think that's another way of participating in these kind of services for the community. And I think there are also a lot of community-based community development association in various places where they could offer their talents in the community. And I would like to see, though, more cross-organizational cooperation. That's something I think is missing in our community. As you can see in this time, when Japan is facing their earthquake and tsunami relief. And that takes a lot of effort for rebuilding the community. And that would make sense to Taiwan also, because we are also facing different natural disasters, and we need more cross-sector cooperation.
Okay. What are the different methods that people use to make their donations? Maybe, for example, when I go to a 7-Eleven, I got some spare change. I will make a small donation right there on the spot. And I also know people who have signed up with United Way of Taiwan that will make an automatic deduction on their salary every month. And certainly you have others who can make a large sum of donation, maybe on a yearly basis or semi-annual basis. Are there other ways of people making donations to the United Way?
Yes. A lot of companies, when they have annual events or marketings, the cost-related marketing, and some young people who have new ideas, they want to give money through United Way. And one of the examples recently, there's a group of young people they have this incubator starting a business, which is kind of abstract for most people. They are doing a virtual money, like you will play when those people have an online game, and they need to buy online cash, like play fish or Facebook cash, or Facebook coins, and they use this as a platform for people to exchange those money. Then those money, which by definition, it's virtual, but they could become a real cash to make the donation online through either Facebook or other kind of online game or, all those kind of things. That's a new start, and we're trying that too.
So you're moving along with technological advances as well. But we know as one of the more popular ways for people to make donation in Taiwan, maybe not only to the United Way, but other organizations as well, is the so-called uniform invoice, 统一发票. But as you know, our government is also converting the system into electronic, uniform invoice. Would you think that will have an impact on the amount of, uniform invoice donation that you receive today as versus in the future?
I think if this is something that we need to go, we have to come up with a solution.
Yes.
I would believe that with the technology we have, it should be some solutions there that they could build in a program in the car or in the chips, so people could designate where those
receipts,
the receipts, and then goes to which organization they want to give. So that should be a solution. But for nonprofits, we have to come up with our own solution so that we could make a difference or make this work on that new solution.
Okay, but just on a yearly basis, roughly, do you know the figure, the amount of donation that you're able to cash in from the uniform invoice donations?
I don't have a number with me, but I know that for the 创世 Foundation, they receive around 100 million Taiwan dollars through the
just from uniform receive. Okay.
Yeah.
And do you think that maybe in the future, as we, a lot of the developments are also taking place in terms of how government regulates, charity donations and things, do you think that will have an impact in terms of, what will motivate people to vote, to make a donation?
It could, and it takes time to observe whether people would, want to cash it or to give it.
Okay. And do you think that if you get the opportunity and you meet up with government officials who are thinking of making some corresponding changes in the laws and regulations governing donations, what would be your suggestions to our government?
For the uniform invoice?
Yes.
I think we need a meeting with the government that they could build in a program for people to designate, and either through the convenience store on their panel or other kind of online solutions. It should be done, and technically it shouldn't be a problem. I believe so, and then it will be more convenient for people to give.
Okay, and also you will give them the sense of being involved in the process, not only because of they're making a donation to a very good cause, but also in the process that they are moving along with the government changes in how we live and how we spend. Yes. We will take another break on our program, and when we come back, we will continue this conversation with Mr. Chen Wen-Liang, who is currently the Deputy Secretary General of United Way of Taiwan. I'll see you in a few minutes. Welcome back to this part of the program here on today's Taiwan Outlook. I'm your host, Ray Guo. We will continue our discussion with Mr. Chen Wen-Liang, who is currently the Deputy Secretary General of United Way of Taiwan. Wen-Liang, we understand that the United Way Worldwide is an international organization.
Yes.
And you mentioned earlier that United Way of Taiwan was established back in 1992. And when did United Way of Taiwan become a part of the United Way Worldwide, become a member?
We became a member in 1997.
Okay.
Officially,
so 5 years after.
Yep.
Okay.
And we officially signed the contract and follow their membership requirement as an international organization.
Yeah. We understand that many people in Taiwan, in different professions and different fields, have been the leading advocates
Yes.
for the United Way. And one of them, of course, is our current president, Dr. Ma Ying-jeou. I believe at the time that he was in government service as a justice minister, as minister without portfolio, and then also later on as mayor of Taipei.
Yes.
He's always been, very supportive of United Way. So did President Ma play a role in terms of make Taiwan, United Way of Taiwan, a part of the United Way worldwide?
He actually quite involved in the process, especially when we started the conversation with United Way Worldwide.
Okay.
And their CEO and president visit Taiwan. President Ma was one of the hosts.
Oh, okay.
And he also witnessed the signing ceremony during the press release at 1997.
Okay, so he was at the time mayor of Taipei.
So every time when there are foreign visitors from other United Ways, we always bring the guest to his office. So I always say that he ran for United Way earlier than before he ran for the mayor and the president.
Okay, yes. We understand that over the last 2.5 years under President Ma Ying-jeou, there's been a lot of progress in cross-strait relations, relations between China and Taiwan. We also understand that one of the largest, if not the largest, charitable organizations in China is so-called China Charity Federation.
Yes.
Is China Charity Federation also a member of United Way Worldwide?
Yes. They joined the United Way Worldwide almost in the same time with Taiwan.
Okay.
It was a very interesting time.
Okay.
By that time, the cross-strait relationship is sort of a tension in that time. But very interestingly, I met a lot of folks from China, and they're quite friendly when we meet. Though they're usually during the official ceremony, they have some insist that there should be no show of Taiwanese flag and the name of our participation. But basically, our attitude is we are all doing something to help people.
Okay.
So. Other than politics, we are good friends.
Okay.
So that's a very interesting experience.
All right. And has there been some institutional exchanges and cooperation, between China Charity Federation and United Way of Taiwan over the years? And what are some of the events that you have done together, if any?
We have participated in United Way Worldwide on providing trainings in China. And I think in Taiwan, we translate a lot of materials of their best practices from United Way. And those, not just language, but also culture changes. We translate them and implement them in Taiwan.
Okay.
And I think that China Charity Federation believes that what works in Taiwan would have a better chance work in China. So that's why we had a lot of cross-strait exchanges, whether they send their local chapters to visit Taiwan or we went there for conference. So very frequent visits in between.
Do you have anything that's planned on the immediate horizon, maybe for the remainder of 2011, between China Charity Federation and also United Way of Taiwan?
Yes, we're inviting them to visit in this May.
Okay.
And for the first time, the president of China Charity Federation is coming to visit Taiwan, and they would like to see how we work and visit elderly services, especially it's one of the big issue in China, and they want to see how we serve our elderlies, not just because of our professional skills, but also in the Chinese cultural context.
Okay. Besides your relationship with China Charity Federation, you also participate in a number of international exchanges with other charitable organizations around the world. Can you share with us some of the more memorable experiences in doing those exchanges?
I think a lot of conferences I went to, they all envy that we do a lot of creative ideas in Taiwan, and even in the United States when I went to the staff leader conference of United Way, and very interestingly, the international headquarters of 7-Eleven is, I believe, was in Dallas.
Okay.
And the United Way of Dallas come to me and say, could we bring some experiences back to the headquarters, that the 7-Eleven and United Way of Dallas could do something like what we do in Taiwan.
Okay.
So a lot of things, we found that we thought we learned a lot of best practices from other countries like the US or Europe. And then they start to learn something from Taiwan and other countries. For example, our online giving is one of the famous. The online giving is now 17% of our revenue.
Okay.
And I think in the United Way system, they say we are the best around the world, because in the United States, there are only 10% of the revenue is raising money online. So that's something we found. There are a lot of things Taiwan could contribute to the international community, especially in the field of philanthropy.
Okay. And you and I were talking before the taping started that you have been with the United Way for over 12 years.
Yes.
And have you noticed the kinds of changes and progress that you have seen in United Way of Taiwan, as well as people's reaction, towards organization like the United Way of Taiwan?
Yes. When I started my job in the United Way, most of the organizations, they're facing a lack of resources and also professional skills. They want to know how well they do their job, but they don't. It's very difficult for them to measure the result. And some people with resistance to measure what humanitarian supports. But then they started to face that people start to ask. Taiwanese people, as I mentioned, more and more Taiwanese people participated charitable giving and volunteerism. And that creates, I think, over the course, over the past decade, you can see a lot of people really want to participate in the community with their time, with their money, with their talent. And the nonprofit organizations in Taiwan creates more and more opportunity for people who want to make a difference. And that's, I think, I'm very positive to see this. And I also believe that during my 12 years in United Way, I noticed a lot of energy in the community in many different places. They're doing a small-scale program, but they do it every day on a daily basis, visiting families in remote areas, and then driving along the highway and do a lot of work, communicating with school teachers, taking care of single parents and their children. And that's very, we have to cherish these forces in our community. And that helps Taiwan to become more prospered in the future. And that's a very unique experiences.
So you setting an example on the international level for other charitable organizations like United Way of America to emulate. But you also, at the same time, setting a new standard in Taiwan. For a lot of the organizations that are involved or committed to social relief assistance. Do you think this is something that United Way will continue to do? Maybe not playing the leading role, but certainly be one of the leaders in terms of how the domestic market will shape up in the coming years.
I think yes, and it's a very the technology and travel makes the world even smaller. So best practice and all the professional skills become more and more mobile between countries and across the border. The United Way Worldwide established a global learning center with the generosity of Bill Gates. They named the center after his mother, Mary Gates. And it's a place where they share even more proactively than before the best practice of the United Way system to different countries. And we have more and better chances than before to bring those knowledge back and then share ours through the system. to other countries.
But you understand that, of course, some of the charitable organizations in Taiwan does have a religious background. Do you think that sometimes make it a little more incompatible with what United Way does?
It takes more time, but I think charitable or faith-based organizations, we need to look into what their aspirations are. And then trying to, my way of doing this is to hear their stories. And then put their story into the logic of our proposal procedures or those kind of formula. And then they'll be more happier, and even more happier to see, oh, okay, yeah, this is what I want. And it's even more clearer than how their aspiration used to be.
Okay, good. We're going to take a final break on our program today, and when we come back, we will continue this conversation with Mr. Chen Wen-Liang, who's currently the Deputy Secretary General of United Way of Taiwan. I'll see you in just a few minutes. Welcome back to the final segment of today's program here on the Taiwan Outlook. I'm your host, Wu Ruiguo, where we'll continue our conversation with Mr. Chen Wen-Liang, who is currently the Deputy Secretary General of United Way of Taiwan. Wen-Liang, we've been talking about the kinds of functions and operations for United Way. But when you look at the development of United Way, of course, looking ahead, there could be a number of challenges that, one of which we already mentioned, the conversion into electronic, uniform invoice. What are some of the other challenges that you see? For example, a couple of years ago, in the year 2008, 2009, we had the worst global financial recession since the Great Depression. And, a charitable organization, philanthropy like, United Way, could be adversely impacted. And how would you then in the future, if we God forbid that, but something similar happens again, how would United Way respond to such an international crisis or unexpected development?
I think it seemed to me becomes usual that you will have a natural disaster occur or the economy downturn in the middle of the year. So for nonprofits, especially larger nonprofits, we need to caution all the time and make our organization accountable to people, and then never stop investing new programs, explore opportunities to make sure that the general public, especially your donors, could trust you. And all the informations are transparent enough for people to continue support. Even they have financial crisis, they have difficulties, they stop giving, but they still give your information knowing that you are still doing those good work. And when the economy comes back, they will come back to you and even more generous than before. So that's something that we always keep in mind, and we want that's something we should do. As always.
As you probably spent a number of years in the United States, United Way, of course, is a very important, charitable organization in the U.S., but also there are others. But I think for those of us who have, spent time in the U.S., we try to understand what is the true meaning of practicing charity. Can you give us your definition of what that means to you?
I think it's charity is something you really participate in the community and make a difference, and then make the place you're living a better place to live. Not just for yourself, for your neighborhood, and for your children and children's children. And it all started with a sense of commitment and maybe with a sense of sharing. But what if, I'm somebody who has a big heart, but have very limited resources? How would you recommend that for us to be a part of these ongoing changes in our community to make our community better? I think giving is not just giving money. All right. You can give in time, you can give in cash, you can also give something that you no longer need, but it's still usable.
Yes.
So there are ways of giving.
All right.
And as long as you want to give, you always have a chance to give.
Yeah. You mentioned about being very creative in the process. And Wen-Liang, I suppose that you're married and have children of your own. You're not?
No.
No, okay. But anyway, but as you know, people who are, like myself, raising younger children.
Yes.
That how do we, as a parent, give them the notion of what constitutes giving, what is practicing charity in their daily lives. Especially, I want them to develop the habit, become part of their routines. That they think of giving, helping those people in need. Yes. Like you said, not necessarily in terms of money, but in terms of time, in terms of compassion, in other things. How do we start as a parent?
I think we could start at home, like my nephew and niece. We always encourage them to care others' needs, not just self-centered. I think you always see a lot of things concentrating on ourselves by the mass media and all those commercials that encourage people to shop and to focus on our own needs. So we can do something to encourage our kids to care for others, beginning from home, and then participate volunteers from very small scale from the school, and parents could participate in the school events as a volunteer. A lot of people do that. And that's something you can be an example for your children. And then they will become a more active citizen in their own community. That's something we can do from our own family.
All right. Earlier this year, right around the time of Chinese New Year, we had a visitor from China, Mr. Chen Guangbiao.
Yes. And
he's, of course, a well-known philanthropist in China. And then, one of his trademarks is, of course, being very high profile.
Yes.
When he makes the donation to people, to organizations. Aside from your capacity as the Deputy Secretary General for the United Way of Taiwan, what is your personal view about, Mr. Chen Guangbiao's activities and behaviors?
I think he's a good doer.
Okay.
Definitely.
All right.
And he has a very unique way of doing this. He enjoys the feedbacks.
Yes.
And he enjoys it even more enjoyable than others. So that's what I observe. But the way he's doing, I think there are reasons in Chinese, especially mainland China context. They really want to see where the money goes. I would say it's because the trust among mainland China, people in mainland China are still improving. There are a huge space to improve. That's why they really want to see individuals receive those assistance and relief money at their hand.
All right.
It's a very, I would say it's a very beginning of civil society. And then when they have this kind of trust and build up those trusts and into a social network where they have regulations and the rule of the game, then they will less likely have people like Chen Guangbiao and that they have to give the money directly to the hand of those in need.
Okay. And what do you think that, in the process, of course, it was something of a controversy in Taiwan.
Yes.
But like you said, I agree with you that, Mr. Chen, no matter, what other people will regard him as, but I think he's a, do-gooder and he has good intentions. But the fact of the matter remains is, because of, differences in lifestyle and in values, maybe his style is not appreciated, by, some people in Taiwan, maybe elsewhere. But the fact of the matter remains is, not every charitable organization has the name, the reputation, and the trustworthiness as a United Way. How would we then, in the future, help, go both ways. The recipients on one hand, and also the charitable organizations on the other, to try to formulate a way to build up that trust, to improve the understanding of what the other party is trying to do, so we can have a more institutionalized environment.
Yes.
For this type of charitable activities back and forth.
I think for any country, this kind of activity takes time to build trust.
Yes.
Like United Way in the United States, they started it in 1887. So it takes over a century to make those regulations work, make people trust, and make all those information collected transparent enough for people to choose which charity they want to give.
Okay.
And I don't think we need another century, though.
No.
Because we use all those technology and information and training, but it really takes time, maybe some time, so we have to bear with it. And for nonprofits, we have to make sure always be accountable for those supporting you. Okay. Never forget to recognize your donors, and then make your information transparent enough all the time. And for givers or donors, make sure where your money goes. Always feel free to ask, how do you spend my money, and what kind of difference you're making? So both sides, donors and the professional organizations, will make sure that we're accountable for each other, and then the whole society will become more and more trustworthy in the future.
All right. As we are going into, like you said, next year is the 20th anniversary of United Way of Taiwan.
Yes.
And what's your vision for United Way of Taiwan, maybe in the next 20 years, that you can see as the society continues to improve, progress, and also United Way continues to make its progress forward?
I would envision our United Way, or the Taiwanese community as a whole, that we have a very active community where the government and companies and then nonprofit organizations and individuals, volunteers, could work together.
Okay.
We've been doing good individually, but we never do good enough to work together in a platform or cross-sector. So that's something either in the policy level or individual level, we can do more and we can do better. So I would expect that the United Way in our 20th anniversary, we could start a conversation and a platform where people could come together at an expo. So we can exchange ideas and share best practices, not just from local, but also internationally. So people could learn from each other and make another 20 years more prospered.
Thank you very much, Wen-Liang, for being on the program today. Certainly enjoy our conversation. Want to wish you at the United Way all the best, and certainly want to wish you all the best in your personal endeavor as well, because we just learned that you are probably one of the most eligible bachelors in Taiwan today.
Thank you.
I wish you all the best. I want to thank you for watching our program today. I'll see you next time on Microview Television. Thank you.